Okay, it's been a while since I spoke and showed my face and stuff. I just wanted to mention this. The Democratic Party, particularly this Democratic administration, they they say that they're for equality and human rights. That's like the main topic all the time. That they're so intent is for equity and equality. Let me explain something about human rights. A human being, the most greatest feature of a human being is life. They're alive, they're living. They have no natural way, human beings have no natural way of avoiding the need to develop. Everything that is life has to do with growth and development. Like the body needs to do homeostasis. The body needs to develop. So from a young age, those phases are like rapid. And even as you get older, you grow to the next phase of life. So you develop into the next phase of life. The greatest potential a human being has is reproduction. So I'm going to say this right now. Abortion is the greatest crime against human rights. Human rights are basically the guarantee that everyone has self-determination. Every human being has self-determination without any hindering or putting them in danger while trying to pursue the liberties to self-determine, right? So they can't get hurt. They can't get blocked from being. The word is human being, right? Life. They can't, basically that's what human rights protects. That's number one. Number two, the persons, which entails personalities. The personalities are granted the understanding, universal understanding, that they will obtain respect and 100% liberty to self-realize their personality without being blocked or hurt. So they could self-realize their personalities, so long as they don't physically hurt themselves or others in the process of self-determination. So self-determination should be like true human rights. Self-determination is guaranteed to human beings, the human life, right? Not human personalities. The only thing that human personalities get are the room to self-realize, the universal understanding and respect to self-realize the personalities. So with that said, the reason I say this is because of the reason suicide is illegal and homicide is legal, right? You can't put out your light. You can't put out your development, your human being. That is illegal, right? So therefore, and why? Because there's no natural way to avoid life from developing and growing. You get what I'm saying? There's no natural, you don't come with that. Like you don't just pop up and say, okay, I'm going to stop growing and stuff. That's not, you know, science could create procedures that replace like the human processes. That's fine. But as far as it being protected by human rights, no, that's why things are inhumane when science creates these processes in the lab. Sometimes these things are inhumane. So human rights don't protect that. Now, when I mention human personalities, there's a difference. A human being is different than a human person. The reason I say this is because a personality doesn't need anything. It could just be. A human personality can just be. It happens. A human personality can develop out of thin air at the moment. It needs nothing. It doesn't need time to develop. It just happens. It needs nothing. So there's nothing obligated to respect a human person or human personality. Persons has to do with personality, with the expression, all that shit. Now, when it comes to self-realizing the development of that personality, that deserves respect universally. Everybody has the 100% room and freedom to self-realize until that self-realization physically hurts their own self-determination, which is guaranteed to the life, the human being that they are, or it imposes or hurts others' self-determination. You get what I'm trying to say? So at the end of the day, if the Democrats are about human rights, they will not at all ever cause divide. They would be on the same side as MAGA people, no matter how much MAGA people want to divide. But they don't. They always say, you got to choose a side. You got to be on the right side of history. You're evil. No. There's nothing evil about parents that care for their children, who can't be there 24/7 for their kids, but they do want to let their kids become humans and become independent human beings in society. There's nothing that is fair and a human protection or safety provided to these parents that have children that don't want their children to partake in a lot of these imposed ideologies and personality types on their children. So I don't know. I've been like, there's a lot of people saying it, and it's inspired me to come out and say it. I've been voting Democrat my whole entire life. I was approached before I got to the age of being able to vote. I was approached by an older lady who was a conservative, and she was trying to explain to me that abortion was not good, that I really needed to reconsider voting for Democrats. And it was an older white lady, right? And in the hood, they're like, the white people, you can't trust them. So as a young idiot, I swear to God, I feel like I'm finally becoming an adult. But as a young idiot, which is a lot of you are today, young idiots, I was in college. I worked a 9 to 5. I thought that, oh no, the same thing that these little idiots today think, that the Democrats are for the minorities and the lower class and the poor. Now, as an adult, I'm learning a lot from mistakes. And I want to say this. I have 13 years of the military experience, and I'm not happy. I volunteered after 9/11 because I was like, how are these motherfuckers gonna go in planes and just fucking kill 3,000 people who chose to have an honest living, waking up, going to work into these buildings, like, because they hate America because of their religious beliefs. So I was like, this is my nation, this is my country, this is what I love. I volunteered. I was not recruited into the military after 9/11. I stood up to defend my country. So I've always been a patriot. I love America. I'm very disheartened with a lot of things about America. That's fine, but I still love it. You know what I'm saying? And I did my part in trying to serve the people of the United States, to be able to be disheartened, right? To be able to complain. Like, I did my part. I don't want to say it like I'm entitled, but at the very least, I did my part. And even then, I'm just like, I understand when people say, hey, if you love your country, don't go against it, how you could serve it. And the fact that people who have not done anything for America, not even put $1 here, and come in, and the next day they're freaking exploiting our money, and us patriots and citizens are being painted as the evil people for not wanting this to be done, for not basically for being forced to be selfless. Like, let us be selfless as we have room to be selfless. You get what I'm saying? Don't force us to be selfless, because then at that point, you're not being selfless. It's clear what you're doing. You're accumulating your votes for years to come, because these people are just going to come here. They're going to live off the government. And I know this, why? Because my mom raised me on welfare. But except my mom raised me to not be like her, right? To not live off of the government, to work, to depend on myself and not live off of food stamps or the government. So my mom raised me against the whole life that these opportunists, I'm not going to call them illegal immigrants or anything, because people are going to be like, oh, you're so mean or whatever the fuck. These opportunists, that's what they are. They are opportunists that would not stay in their countries and fight for things to change over there. They are opportunists that rather come to this country knowing that the money and the aid is coming from people who've been here for a very long time, who have been bamboozled and mistreated by their government. Lots of American citizens mistreated by their government, basically systemically oppressed by their government. A lot of these people have paid taxes for years. They're threatening to take away our funds that we've invested in, only so that they can give it to these newcomers that they think are going to reproduce like crazy and create more voters for them. I'm talking a lot. It's already 11 minutes, 11 and a half minutes that I'm talking. But I'm just basically expressing everything I'm observing at the moment. And I'm trying to do it in a way so that when I'm ranting and writing my rants on social media, people could hear this voice when I'm explaining things, because it sounds hateful when I'm writing it. But it's really not. It's logical thinking that I'm spending my time doing by myself. And I'm saying, no, this makes no sense. And it's not that I'm looking for justification. It's just that I'm looking for the proofs, like the givens, the proofs, and then logically making it all practical. Like if it's, I don't know how to explain it. Human rights. You're about human rights. What is a human? What makes a human? Human being. Being humankind. Human being. Human life. You're protecting that, right? So human personality is something that it's almost like an additive, not an additive, but it's part of the human, but it's almost like the mind in a standalone way, right? So the human personality is actually like not the hair pigment, but the dye that a human chooses to buy to put the pigment on their hair. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's not the brain. It's more like the adapted mind type that they're going to wear. And you can actually change and self-control that and self-realize that as you please, because you're a human being who has self-determination. But at the end of the day, when you are self-realizing that, you cannot impose your self-realization or physically harm anyone while you're self-realizing as anyone else's self-determination. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Self-determination is guaranteed to those developing in their states of being alive and growing, not in their states of personalities. Persons change. Little persons, I was a different person from when I was younger. I'm so glad I didn't do a lot of the shit that I chose not to do, because I would have regretted it today. I'm very grateful for the person I decided to choose to become. because a lot of it helps me out today. A lot of the things I did when I was younger, I'm very glad. And not because I'm rich. Not because I'm rich. I'm not rich. I'm fucking struggling too. I'm bad with money. I have bad habits. That's the part of my person that I need to self-realize because it's hurting myself. So I need to put grips on that. But that's my own personal self-realization that I'm entitled to. And not so much entitled to, but I'm granted the room to fix that myself. And at no given point does anyone need to come impose on me while I'm trying to self-realize, as long as I'm not imposing on them or physically harming them, and as long as I'm not physically harming myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, and when I say physically harm, I mean like I'm not jumping off a building, killing or slicing my arms and fucking committing suicide, right? Because we could always get technical and be like, well, all that eating is harming you. That's just a bad habit. But anyways, and even then you can have intervention when it's that bad, you know what I mean? But I'm just talking. I believe if you're really for human rights, people who say, hey, I don't want my children around LGBTQ, or keep that shit away from my children, right? They're not hurting you. Your fucking feelings have no guarantee to self-determination nor self-realization. Your feelings are given the room to self-realizing its own to impose on yourself, right? But your self-realization is not given the room to impose on others or physically harm others.